let's spend a little bit of time thinking about your home and what makes a home good for solar and what can make a solar installation just a little bit trickier. The first thing I want to mention is system size. The size of your system is based first and foremost on how much electricity you consume. And this is because the net metering credits that I mentioned earlier they roll over from month to month, but they do not roll over from year to year. And so the excess credits that you have at the end of the net metering year, which is in Pacific Power territory, at least March 1st, those credits get donated to a fund for folks, and you don't get the economic benefit. So in terms of what is the sweet spot for designing the size of your system, if you are doing it to save money on your electric bills, it is based on going up to the amount of electricity you expect to use throughout the course of a year, but not exceeding that. Your contractor will be able to estimate that for you based on your past electrical usage. So they'll ask you for your electric bills. Other factors that can affect the system size are available roof space. Maybe you don't have enough to offset all of your energy consumption, but just a portion. That can still be a great option, but you'll just have a smaller system. Additionally, maybe you have a budget limit and you don't want to go above that. There are different reasons to limit the size of a solar system. The average size of solar system, I'm going to give you a funky metric here. It's called kW, that's kilowatt. And you should not worry about what that means, but I will reference later that the average size for a solar system is 8 kilowatts. However, systems do range widely from as little as less than 2 kilowatts up to considerably greater than 8 kilowatts. Next, you'll want to consider how much sunlight your roof or wherever you want to put your solar system actually receives. This is a diagram of a hypothetical home and its solar system, and you can see the cardinal directions here, north, south, east, west. The arcs here with the orange globe, that's the sun and the path that the sun takes in the sky. In the summer, it's a little bit higher. In the winter, it's a little bit lower. The main point here, though, is that the sun is in the southern sky because we're in the northern hemisphere. And that means that your south-facing roofs are going to be the best for solar. East and west-facing roofs can also work great for solar. West-facing roofs just ever so slightly better than east-facing roofs. You really don't see solar being put on north-facing roofs at all. And when you do, on very rare occasion, it's kind of a funky racking setup and it looks a little weird. So it's probably not something you would consider. But this is something that your solar contractor will take a look at for you. Next, your roof. There are several aspects of your roof that your solar contractor is going to take a look at. One is, what is your roofing material? Solar can be installed on practically any roofing material. So if you have a weird roof, or a weirdly great roof, that doesn't mean that you can't get solar. There are a couple of specific roof types that are very rare that do increase the cost of installation, but by and large, it's very easy to install on any roof. Two typical roof types are asphalt shingle and standing seam, and these are both excellent for solar installations. Next, you're going to want to look at your roof condition. Metal roofs are fantastic for solar. The reason you look at asphalt shingle roofs can also be fantastic. The reason you look at roof condition is because when your roof needs to be replaced, it needs to be replaced, and you can't really wait. And so when you replace your roof, you're going to have to uninstall your solar system, replace your roof, and then reinstall. And that is a lot of labor cost. And that's something you probably want to avoid. Some solar contractors will provide that as a service, but it is best to avoid that if you can. So metal roofs, they last an incredibly long time, and that's why there's less of an issue here. Asphalt shingle roofs can also last quite a while, but not quite as long as metal roofs. Typically, for example, the Energy Trust of Oregon incentives, if you want to take advantage of all your incentives, you're going to need to have at the minimum 10 years of roof life left. And it is ideal if you are considering re-roofing in the near future. Re-roofing is an excellent time to go solar if that is something that is coming up for you. Finally, what is underneath your roof is also important. On the left here and the right, I have images of two different types of roof structure. There's trusses where you see these support beams, and there's rafters where there's just the one beam that goes from the eave to the crest of the roof. Both of these roof types can work for solar. Trusses will always, practically always pass your structural code requirements. So the question here is, can you get the permit required for installation? With trusses, you should be A-okay. With rafters, you could also be just fine. If the rafters are too narrow or if they span too far a distance, your solar contractor may hire an engineer to take a look at that in order to get your permit. The engineer might take a look at that and say that's totally fine, or they may say you need to reinforce the roof, and the solar contractor will be able to perform that reinforcement. It's a relatively routine thing to do. However, the engineer cost and the reinforcement cost can add to the cost of the overall solar installation. So that is an overview of some characteristics of your home that you're going to want to consider when you go solar. I do want to pause for a second and just say, if you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the Q&A box at any point during the webinar, and then we'll just get to those at the end of the webinar.